know what love is?
I don't know.
Does anybody care to show me?
What should I show?
Love. A concept so profound and so abstract. Yet, all of us admittedly wants to have the sense of longing for it. Everyone wants to experience it, to have it, to share it with others. No doubt people in history have been trying their best to concretize this abstract concept. And tonight, I would love to discuss love with you by talking about some of the most famous symbols of love. Ready?
Yes.
Let's start with the most common, which is the heart shape. Evan Andrews, in his article, What is the Origin of the Heart Symbol, says that probably the origin of the heart shape as a love symbol started with a flower called silphium. It grew near the Greek colony of Syene, and the ancient Greek and Romans used silphium as, guess what? Birth control pill or contraceptive.
Where can I get
Charm. The seed pod of silphium bore an astounding resemblance to the modern-day Valentines Heart, which led many people to believe that this was probably the reason why this flower was associated with the heart shape of silphium. The second symbol of love I would love to talk about is the dove. Remy Medina, in her article, Why Do Doves Represent Love, says that doves are few of the birds that are monogamous in nature. Monogamous meaning they stay with only one partner for the rest of their lives.
Sana oil.
Male doves are also known to support their female partners in incubating and taking care of their young. That is why male doves build their reputation as faithful, loving, and devoted birds. As a matter of fact, in the ancient times, the recipe for love potion usually required the heart of a dove. Amazing. The third and final symbol I would love to talk to you about is probably the most controversial and bizarre. It's the cross. The cross was used as an instrument of death penalty during the Roman Empire, and crucifixion was reserved for the most heinous of all criminals. According to Britannica.com, the man who was sentenced to be crucified usually underwent severe scourging or whipping, in which his muscles and his flesh would barely hang loose from his bones. After that, the man being crucified was forced to drag or carry his own cross to the place of his punishment. In that place, the man usually was stripped naked, as in naked, until his two wrists and feet was firmly planted on his cross. The man being crucified usually is a source of some public spectacle. People are crucified in public, not in private, to shame him for the crime that he has done. Also, the man being crucified usually have this note on top of his head bearing his name and his crime. So what does this symbol of capital punishment have to do with love, might be asked? Well, if the person being crucified is guilty and is totally deserving to be punished, then crucifixion was a reasonable way to express and give way to justice. However, justice system is never perfect. People are somehow condemned not because they have done the crime, but because there's just nothing to bear, no one to bear the punishment for some act. So let's just say people will just have to plant a person and torture him or her so that he will be forced to admit the crime he has not committed. And in that case, do you think justice will be served? It's a bit outrageous to think that someone like Mother Teresa, an innocent and holy woman, would have to bear the punishment for, let's say, Adolf Hitler or Osama bin Laden. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Totally out of this world. But I know a man who was innocent, blameless, and holy, who suffered this kind of death for my sake. And he did it because he wants me to experience the life and the love that the Lord wanted me to receive. His name is Jesus. So every time I see a cross, I don't just see an instrument of death or capital punishment. More so, I remember the holy and blameless man who was willing to die an excruciating form of death for me to experience life that is abundant and in real close relationship with God. Every time I see a cross, I remember love in the greatest form of it. He says that greater love has no one than this, that a man would give his life for a friend. And that for me is the greatest love of all. At the beginning of my speech, I wanted to know love, and I dared you to show. But right now, I already know what love is. Not just because you sang to me and did me whatever you can, but because Jesus Christ cared enough to die for me on the cross to show me the real meaning